Welcome, guys, to my Lulu guide. I'm going to be doing an in-depth guide on the channel today, so what you can expect from this guide is as follows. What we're going to have is a item breakdown, a rune breakdown for the two positions that I think Lulu can be played in. We're then going to have a differential skill guide, so we're going to talk a little bit about the skills that you max for both in the support role and if you're playing her in a lane. And then I'm going to do an in-depth skill guide where we look at kind of like what the skills do, how you combo them together, what each of the kind of like the skills look like in certain scenarios and how you use them, and then I'm going to let you guys go free. I genuinely think Lulu is going to be an S+ tier support, so if you enjoy the content, feel free to subscribe. Also, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. Right, let's jump straight into it. Lulu. Okay, the support build. I think it's pretty clear cut that Lulu is going to function incredibly well with the likes of Ardent Censer and Harmonic Echo. These are two really fantastic items that are going to work very well when you're pairing Lulu with a high attack speed support. The only reason that Ardent Censer wouldn't make sense is if you're going with Jhin, in which case I would recommend that you go Harmonic Echo into Athene's Unholy Grail. But if you're going with any attack speed type supports, then Ardent Censer into Harmonic Echo is going to be fantastic. And then later down the line, you might want to consider a Rabadon's Death Cap, since Lulu has some pretty decent AP scalings on both her shield and her ultimate. And then later on, again, that last item I always say is very flexible here. Maybe you want Morellonomicon to make sure you've got Grievous Wounds. Liandry's is going to give you some good damage because a lot of Lulu's abilities do slow. So just be aware that obviously all of these are good options for you in the late game. But again, attack speed supports Ardent Censer is going to be fantastic into Harmonic Echo, and again, at Ardent Censer boosts the attack speed of an ally that you apply a shield to or a heal. Harmonic Echo is going to give you a heal when you cast a healing or a shield ability, and Athene's Unholy Grail is also going to give you extra healing if you're dealing damage. So again, really good sets of items for you to consider. And then again, like I said, Rabadon's Death Cap is great if you are just looking for the flat AP. I would say that the Summon Airy is the best rune for you here. I really like Weakness because Lulu has plenty of crowd control abilities, and so therefore impairing the movement of any champion is going to make them take 5% more damage in the following 5 seconds. I like then taking the support runes, which is Loyalty and Pack Hunter, both of which are fantastic if you're playing in the support role. And again, you can either go Ignite or Exhaust. With Flash, obviously Flash is an absolute must. Ignite or Exhaust, depending on what you're facing in the game. If you've got lots of assassins, Exhaust might be that extra added measure to make sure you're dealing with them alongside your ultimate, but if you're looking to be more aggressive in lane, then Ignite is going to be the play for you. Okay, then having a look at the lane build. I like Luden's Echo into Lichbane. Why do I like that? Lulu has got lots of low cooldown abilities. You can proc Lichbane relatively easily, plus your abilities slow, including Glitterlance, which means you're going to be able to slow the enemy and ensure that you get a basic attack in on them. I like to have the stasis enchant because I think it's really important, and then again, flat AP from the Rabadon's Death Cap into potentially Liandry's and maybe Void Staff if you need the magic, if you need the Magic Pen. That's what I'm talking about. There is lots of variations with this build. Honestly, guys, like, I was thinking about it really hard, and I haven't really done a full thought process. I think Archangels could be really good. I do think that Rod of Ages is a very good potential for Lulu. I think Rod of Ages is a great item in general. If you're looking to play a more attack speed focused Lulu, Nash's Tooth might be the option, even though I don't think it's particularly great. I wouldn't say that Infinity Orb is massive because Lulu doesn't have any high burst damage ability, so I would say that Infinity Orb's probably not something that you're looking to have for Lulu. But Awakened Soul Stealer could be good if you're looking to play a more supportive lane role and you want to get your ultimate on a low cooldown to make sure that you're able to protect your AD carry as much as possible. I think Ryalize is a bit of a waste, considering that your main spammable first ability, Glitterlance, slows anyway. But I would recommend trying out this build, see how it goes for you. You're going to get a lot of burst damage with the Ludens first into Lichbane because you're going to be able to easily basic attack the enemy. I think that's a good shout. Again, Summon Airy still great because, again, you're going to be poking a lot in lane. Electrocute could be used, but I just think Summon Airy is the more consistent one. Then you want to have Brutal. I like Spirit Walker, and if you're ever playing lane, I think Sweet Tooth is just the best option. I've tried loads of them, but Sweet Tooth, the extra gold and the extra regeneration is always nice. And when you're playing in lane, unless you're playing up against like a Zed or Yasuo mid or an Akali and you want the exhaust, you might want to go for the Ignite. And those are the two roles that I think Lulu can be played in the lane, which is either Baron lane or mid, or playing her as support. And again, there are two distinct builds that you want to work with. Okay, let's have a quick look at her abilities and which one you're going to max first, and then we are going to talk about her abilities and what they do, and then we're going to have a look at how you combo them and how you use them in game. Okay, there are two main level priorities that you want to follow when playing Lulu. Of course, when you are playing her in both lane and support, you are always going to want to put a point in your ultimate when it is available. So of course, Wild Growth will always be your #1 priority. If you're playing her in support, you're going to want to max your third ability first, which is the Help Picks, which is the shield, then max Whimsy for the cooldown reduction, and then Glitterlance finally. The only reason that you would max Glitterlance realistically is for the damage. The main utility that you get from it when you're playing support is the slow. So you want to max your supportive abilities, which are the shielding and the cooldown on the polymorph, or the movement speed and attack speed increase, which comes from your Whimsy. So when you're starting out in lane, you may want to put an initial point into Glitterlance to be aggressive and poke the enemy, or you might want to put a point into shield if you feel like you cannot be aggressive in the lane matchup that you're in. But it depends. I usually start with Glitterlance in almost every scenario, so I would start with my first ability, but then I won't put any more points into it until the rest of my abilities are maxed. In the lane, clearly you're going to want to go for damage, so I will max my Glitterlance first, which is my first ability. I will then max my shield, and the reason I max my shield second is because it can also be used aggressively, and the more points that you put into it, the more damage it's going to do. And then finally, I will max Whimsy. Whimsy is used likely when you're the lane Lulu as a polymorph, or you might use it once in a team fight, but you are more looking for that damage output that you get from maxing both your Glitterlance and your Help Picks first. When I'm playing lane Lulu, I'm almost always going to start with Glitterlance. There are some occasions where I might start with Help Picks, but obviously I would say that Glitterlance is the best ability to start with in the laning phase as well. So let's jump in, talk about the abilities and what they do, and then talk about some of the combos that you can do with them. Okay guys, let's talk about Lulu's abilities, starting with her passive first. Pix fires a barrage of 3 bolts that deal 128 magic damage, scaling with Lulu's AP. At whatever Lulu attacks, these bolts can be blocked by other units, which includes minions, monsters, and other champions. And only enemy champions, they can't be blocked by ally champions. Otherwise, you can attach Pix to allies, and which she will help the allies' attacks, which means she's really good at pairing with high attack speed AD carries. Or you can attach it to an enemy, she will continue to attack what Lulu attacks, and she also reveals the enemy as well. Really, really good passive. Works. It's one of the main reasons that Lulu functions really well as a support. She's a very good support at buffing your AD carries' damage, as well as keeping them safe through the abilities that we're going to talk about now. The first ability, Glitterlance. This is a straight line skill shot that deals magic damage and slows an enemy. Both Pix and Lulu fire a separate Glitterlance, and it deals damage to the first enemy hit, and then 70% of that damage to any enemies hit thereafter. Unlike the PC version, there is no penalty for Lulu and Pix hitting the same target first. So you're going to get the full damage application from both Glitterlances if they both hit the same target first. To compensate for this, to make her not insanely OP as compared to the PC version, she's got a lower AP scaling ratio on her Glitterlance, and the base damage is also lower and scales up lower as well. However, again, there is no penalty for hitting the same target, so you can technically deal double the damage that you see here to a single target if they are hit for the first time. And now I'm going to demonstrate that skill. Okay, so the dummy targets have 100 magic resist, by the way, so they have 100 magic resist. I'm going to show you that this is the passive in action. You can see there is 42 and then 3 bolts of 22. That 3 bolts of 22 is Help Pix. Of course, it's not quite the damage that you're seeing in the tooltip. This is mainly because, again, as I said before, the dummies have 100 magic resist, and 100 magic resist effectively reduces all magic damage by about half. Okay, so I'm going to show you the Glitterlance now on the dummy target. You can see that there is a small indicator that looks like a little target. That little target shows you the point at which the 2 Glitterlances intersect, effectively where both of the Glitterlances are going to hit the same target. If I deal damage to this dummy target, you'll notice that it was 172, which if we then go and have a look at the screen, 170, both Glitterlances hit, and that essentially is half the damage. Again, 100 magic resist reduces the damage by half. So that is Lulu's first ability, and again, it also slows the target by a pretty significant amount that decays over 2 seconds. Whimsy. Pix creates a fairy ring, attaching to the first champion that enters it for 5 seconds and casting an additional effect in them. On allies, grants 33% movement speed and 40% attack speed for 5 seconds. On enemies, polymorphs the enemy for 2 seconds, reducing their base movement speed, disabling them from attacking or casting abilities and reducing their base movement speed to 60. Pixie's ring will prioritize polymorphing enemies over speeding up allies. So I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so on Lulu or on an ally, what it does is it speeds that ally up, and it gives them an increase in attack speed as well. So what you'll see here is I'll speed myself up, and then I've got a big increase in attack speed also. On an enemy, it turns them into a small cute animal, which cannot do anything for 2 seconds and also reduces their movement speed. This is different to the PC version. The PC version, this was not a skill shot. Like, this is not really I wouldn't say this is a true skill shot, but it was not a targeted ability. It was essentially something that you just point and click on their heads. If you're wondering what happens in the same circle, it will always prioritize polymorphing an enemy, and you cannot cast it on both. What happens if you have multiple enemies in the circle? One of them gets polymorphed, and what I found is that it tends to... One second. It tends to focus the enemy that is closest to the center of the circle. So if I put the center of the circle here, put the center of the circle slightly closer to this one, and you can see that the circle is actually covering all of them, but it does tend to focus the enemy that is closest to the center of the circle. You will not polymorph every enemy inside that. If I put it outside here... one second, try and do it here. If I put it outside here, it walks in, doesn't do anything to the... but I can walk into it, so you can put it here. And what's really good about this ability is it kind of sets up a field where you can set it up for an escape, like this. You can control choke points, and it will last for up to 5 seconds, in which the enemy can't move through it. It will always be the first enemy to enter the ring, or the first ally to enter the ring, that will proc the ability as a whole. So, again, you can use it as a targeted ability, or you can use it as a way to block choke points, or to set up areas of control within a team fight. It's a really, really insane change to the skill compared to the PC version, which I think makes Lulu incredibly strong. Okay, third ability, Health Picks. Attaches picks to an enemy or an ally champion for 5 seconds. On allies, grants a shield that absorbs 235 damage for 5 seconds, scaling with AP, or an enemy deals a flat amount of magic damage that scales with AP as well. And again, both her second and third ability attach picks to whichever champion enters into the fairy ring, either an ally or an enemy, and this will also attach picks to an enemy or an ally. Again, attaching picks to an ally is going to boost their, or at least aid their attack speed, but also give them that extra magic damage on hit, so that's really, really, really good when you're attaching it to a high attack speed AD carry. The other thing to note is that obviously when Pix is attached to an ally, that is where your, or even an enemy, that is where your Glitterlance is going to come from. So if you see there, the Glitterlance comes from the polymorphed enemy. The same would be if it was attached, if this was on an ally, it would come from the ally. So you've got to be aware of that. And the same thing happens here. If I were to cast this on an enemy, you notice that the Glitterlance will come from the enemy that has the health picks attached to them, like this. You can see. Very, very important to note that, because again, it can be a little bit confusing to new Lulu players. If you want to cast the shield in yourself, you just tap it, and again, picks will come from where the shield is. The interesting thing to note about when the shield is active is that you'll notice that Pix is actually a little bit further away from Lulu, which is really interesting. It changes the angles of the Pix Glitterlance ever so slightly, which is actually really interesting, because when you move again, Pix gets closer to you again, following the shield movement. Okay, so that is some basic explanations of those abilities. Now let's have a look at the ultimate. Enlarges an allied champion, knocking enemies into the air for 0.75 seconds. For the next 7 seconds, the allied champion gains 625 bonus health that scales with AP, and slows all nearby enemies by 30%. You tap it to cast on yourself. Pretty nutty, if you ask me. And again, I'm just going to show you in action. Knocks all the enemies away, and you have this aura around you that that slows all the enemies around you, which is absolutely crazy. I wonder if I can just keep gaining health. I don't think I can gain any extra health. Hilarious. Anyway, that slowing aura is fantastic, of course, for AD carries looking to kite. Honestly, Lulu is an absolutely insane champion. Honestly, I think she's going to be S plus tier. With this kit, absolutely S plus tier. And I think she can probably be played mid, Baron lane, and support as well. So yeah, very, very interested to see how that works out. So this is my skills guide to Lulu. Obviously, you guys have seen the sort of the runes and the item guide that I put out. Feel free to go and test her in a game. I think she's going to be absolutely crazy. So yeah, thank you very much. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to like and subscribe. I do esports analysis. I thoroughly recommend that you go and check out the video that I did yesterday, looking at one of the finals of a Southeast Asian tournament. It was a really, really good thing to break down. And of course, once we get the Yordles in competitive play, I'll be doing the same thing. I have another esports analysis video coming out this week, looking at Aether Rift in one of the finals that they played recently. So really, really keen to get that out on the channel this week as well. Really appreciate the support, Scoundrels. Hope you're all having a lovely week, and I will see you tomorrow.